My name's Brad Ladislaw, president of the California Mortgage Association. I'm joined here with Mr. Joffrey Long with Southwest Bancorp. Joffrey, I've known you for a number of years. I think we first met maybe in 2014 at a CMA conference, and you're the one that kind of hooked me to get more involved with CMA, get on the Ed committee. And now I'm blessed and fortunate to call you a friend. I feel we've been through a lot over the years on the education side of with CMA, and I'm excited to have you jump in the hot seat a little bit with me to touch on a course the California Mortgage Association is going to be putting on next month. It'll be our third year doing it. But before we do that, would you mind introducing yourself and your company?
Sure. Joffrey Long, as you said, and the company Southwest Bancorp, private money lender in Southern California. And we're in the Irvine area. And I have been in private money lending for, I've reached a point now where I just simply say more than 35 years. I just like to leave it at that. So more than 35 years. Yeah, those who are really curious can look it up on online. With the California Mortgage Association, I've been involved for about 20 years, and then I've also, from time to time in the past, I testified as an expert witness in mortgage lending cases. But my sole focus now is mortgage lending, investing, and obviously education work with the California Mortgage Association.
I remember when we were putting private money basics together for the first time, we are joking around on your license. You're like, I've been doing this for damn near forever. And then you go to the DRE's website and you could, verify individuals' license, make sure that they could actually be doing deals and doing loans. And I remember cracking the joke. I was like, your license shows as pulled from previous records. So that's how you know you've seen a thing or two over the over the years. Um,
It's we're always learning though. There's the most important thing to learn is how much you still have to learn. So I'm more excited about what I still plan on learning than what I've already learned.
I gotta. I know we want to touch on a few things private money based, but I want to ask you a question that we did not talk about before.
Okay.
When you when you first got into the loan business and did your first deal, how does that compare to today when you're looking at deals?
It's exactly the same. No, I'm just kidding. It's vastly different because I would say the biggest change, to nail it down in just a couple of sentences, is in the beginning it was all I needed to make the deals because I was trying to make money, and so I really was just focused on how could I put together deals. And then over the years, now I look at things as to putting them together correctly, and so they'll work and from a totally different perspective. So that's probably the biggest difference, is being it's more fun to approach it with knowledge than it was not knowing a loan from a squirrel, really, which is where we began.
And that's and then your involvement in CMA. You said you've been involved with CMA for probably around 20 years, 20 plus years.
Yes.
What and what is the biggest takeaway you think you've gotten out of being a CMA member?
Just the knowledge. It's what turned me around because I think for a long time in the beginning of my career, I was just a sales oriented guy. And it was just how many deals could I make? I wasn't doing anything terrible, but I mean, I just wasn't aware of what the components are, what really go into a loan. I was just cranking out deals. At CMA, I learned to really look at transactions from a knowledge base. And then I was able to expand what I did a lot more and do a lot more transactions because I learned how to do more complex or difficult transactions and also how to do the easy ones in a better way.
And sometimes you get the easy ones, and I'm like, that was too easy. What did I miss? I clearly missed something on this file on this
Well,
file.
the thing is in our business, if a transaction seems easy when it closes, there's always plenty of time for something to go along later. So you have to keep an open mind, Brad.
But you make good points on just being involved in CMA and the access and the education, the compliance, and just I think the willingness of other members and the attorneys that come to share. And it's the markets move fast, so legislation changes quickly, and a lot of lenders out there knew or experience, we only know what we know. And if something changes, or maybe there's a new underwriting tool or best practices that can be implemented into the process that they're just not aware of. And now I kind of want to pivot to private money basics because this is something that started as an idea a few years ago. Would you mind sharing with the group where private money basics came from and what our ultimate goal is of private money basics?
So I'm going to start the sentence with "I had an idea," but Brad also had the same idea. Let's qualify that.
That's why we get along so well, I
Yeah.
think.
I had the idea to do a basics course. It would just be a 1-day class where people could show up for 1 day, get a good overview of all the 8 critical areas in private money lending, and it would all be jam-packed with education, and they would be able to get home that night, as opposed to a 2-day or a 3-day, or having to go to a bunch of different things over a 2-year period. You could get as much education as you could possibly get in 1 day. So I had that idea. I knew that Brad was the incoming president of the California Mortgage Association. So I thought, if I don't get his buy-in, I'm just wasting my time, because I would need the president's approval to do this. So I called Brad to see if he was up for the idea, and I explained the idea, and he said, "That's great. I have the same idea. Let me send you my notes." Well, so it was just, and it's all gone in the same direction from there. So we just got together in a number of days. I mean, we have a meeting once a week or so for a full day, and just hammer it out. And we put it together from scratch, and we pulled together a lot of information and knowledge that we got, of course, from CMA and other materials from CMA. But basically, it is a new course, and we've presented it in 2024, 2025. So this is the third presentation, and it's been real successful. It's been sold out, but it basically gives somebody as much information or as much knowledge as they can possibly get in a 1-day class.
Yeah, let's go back to the planning days. I remember when we had that call and I had forwarded you over the email. And then first meeting, we sat down. It's like, okay, now where do we start? Where do we start? And I think in the private lending industry, especially a lot of our CMA members and others in the industry, our businesses revolve around the business purpose exemption. And that's kind of the starting point in the framework for, um, like I said, our operations. And are we, are we kicking off private money basics with that, or what can attendees expect in jumping into the business purpose exemption? Because I feel a lot of us know enough to hurt ourselves, and what are we going to be jumping into a little bit there?
Yeah, well, I think one thing that we're really going to stress is that a lot of people with the business purpose exemption, a lot of people will tell you that one thing, that one key thing that helps make a loan qualify as a business purpose loan, or helps make it stick as a business purpose loan. And we'll discuss that one key thing, but we'll also discuss a number of other things. But that one key thing is critical. So don't mention it, Brad, because that is something that
I don't want to give it all away here, but it always fascinates me. It's we have whether they're like I said, a new lender or an experienced lender. And we're discussing certain scenarios about, is it a business purpose loan or is it not? And then you've presented a number of times over the years, as have I, and it never it's always satisfying for me when we touch a certain topic saying, "Hey, this is actually a consumer loan." And then you see some eyes in the crowd just the "oh shit" moment is very real at times. And I think what I'm excited about moderating this a third time for you, especially in this business purpose exemption section, is going through case studies as well in person, to where it's like, hey, now attendees, you have something to take back to the office in the first 15 minutes of sitting down to make sure that your portfolio is as sound as you think it is, and implement some steps maybe on future files that you didn't have uh, already built in.
yeah, the point you make is good, that a lot of people will be sitting there, and then they'll realize that something that they thought really was a business purpose loan is, for one reason or another, consumer purpose, and I'm not talking about where somebody lied, where actually the known facts make it a consumer purpose loan. But I think the other place where we'll have people at Private Money Basics who've been in the business 20 years or more, which is most of the room, they'll be sitting there and they'll come up to us during the break and they'll, even though they had that one key thing that they had to have, they had that one key thing that helped qualify it as a business purpose loan or make it stand through as a business purpose loan. Even though they had that one key thing, they realized there were a number of other things that they missed that could also help tie it down or help prove it their point should they run into a problem. Because as we know, there's never a problem with any business purpose loan ever unless there's a problem. So so you're safe on most of them. It's all you're doing is all the work and all the precaution and everything. You're just doing that all for 1 out of 40 loans that's going to run into to trouble. The rest of them, it's not a problem.
Yeah, and I think something that we kind of hammer throughout the course of the day is everything that ties back to the business purpose exemption. And we do, I feel, a great job at sharing, taking attendees through the life cycle of a loan and then operating and running a business. Now, I want to touch on our speakers that we bring in. Would you mind sharing with the group how we went about selecting our featured speakers for
Sure.
Private Money Basics?
Sure. I think we both agreed on this in the beginning that we have access to a lot of really good speakers in all these topics, uh, and many of the speakers that we know, the attorneys, the practitioners, the different people that we're in contact with through CMA and through other sources are are some of the best in the industry. But what we wanted for this and what we selected for this was only what we feel were the best of the best in terms of not only people's knowledge, but knowledge is great and essential, but also their ability to communicate the knowledge in a manner that practitioners can use because we can't go and listen to some genius who gives us a lot of legal mumbo jumbo and then we don't understand how to use it because we're not attorneys, we're practitioners, we're trying to make deals. So it's people who are able to present the topics in a way that's oriented toward people who need to go to the office the next day and make a deal. That's the key.
And I also think our speakers that we have come in, they like to be there for the day. They're accessible for the day, and I think their willingness to share. I mean, you go to some conferences or some other presentations out there, and they have their teed up softball questions and responses, and you talk to them afterwards, and they're not willing to dive into the weeds a little bit more. I what I like about the structure of Private Money Basics is how we moderate this throughout the course of the day, and I feel the art is in the follow up questions because we are covering a lot of material. We are moving quickly, but your ability to ask that follow-up question to maybe get that little bit of extra information out of the speaker, is invaluable, and then also their willingness to go further and explain in more detail, and I think that hammers home the point on why we selected the speakers, that we have, and it's been great, and we're very fortunate to have them volunteer and contribute their time for the entire day.
Well, your point about the way we moderate them is key too, because even a good speaker might not hit all the points that we need to hit for ourselves as practitioners. So, you and I, as practitioners, and you do a great job of this too, we ask the questions and keep the flow of the presentation going. So, whether it's an attorney or a practitioner, whoever the presenter is that we brought in, we're making sure and keeping it channeled toward what do the people in the room need to know so that they can go make that deal tomorrow because it's all about helping our people. They're helping our attendees make better transactions, put together better loans, and be able to do them correctly and avoid that 1 out of 40 transactions that are problematic.
Hopefully 1 out of 80. Yeah,
I was
better
actually
ratio.
I was thinking I was a little optimistic at 1 out of 40. It may sadly be closer to 1 out of 13.
We'll table that for happy
Yeah,
hour,
we'll
and
cover that
discuss
later.
that.
We'll vote on it later. We'll have the
Oh
attendees
my
vote on it.
oh, goodness gracious. I don't even wanna know the responses. Uh, So when we did the first Private Money Basics back in 2024, we had an idea on who we thought would be attending Private Money Basics. Would you mind sharing with the group who is actually in the room and who is registering for Private Money
Right.
Basics?
So the name, I hate to say it because we thought of the name, but the name is a little misleading because basics might make some people think it's for beginners or something, but 80% of the people in the room have been in the business 20 years or more. And we also have compliance attorneys and compliance consultants and IRA custodians and title insurance people. So but the bulk is practitioners that have been in the business 20 years or more. And then we have a few newer people, but it's mainly people that have been in it a long time. And the reaction we get from the experienced people, like we had one of the most highly experienced people in the industry, a member of our CMA board of directors, and her response was, she said, "I learned something in the first hour and a half that made the whole day worthwhile." It was just one thing that we covered that was something she wasn't aware of, and she said, "That made the whole day worthwhile. I could have left then." Fortunately, she stayed for the whole day, so that was good.
Eh, No, absolutely, and I think that was a pleasant, I don't wanna say surprise, but I think that goes back to the speakers we're bringing in, the content we're covering, and it is not a yeah, there's a lot of information to cover in one day, but we were very strategic in putting this presentation together to highlight the pain points at different steps of, like I said, running a private lending company, but then also underwriting a particular deal and bringing it through. And I think the feedback that we've received s- from even like as you highlighted, some of the most experienced practitioners that we have as CMA members saying that they're going to sign up again. And we
Exactly.
have on this one individuals that attended it in 2024 are
Right.
now attending it again because
Right.
it's, I don't wanna say it's a good refresher, but it's a good refresher, and there's a lot we cover a lot throughout the course of the day. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. I wanna
That's
ask
it.
you a couple questions about that because that might be a concern to some people. You're covering a lot of information in a short amount of time. What if I don't get all my questions answered?
Right. So
I think
there,
that's a fair question.
yeah, and it there is so much covered that no one is going to go out and remember it all, or take notes on it all, and that's why some people are taking it a second time. But we do have it structured in a way where we are taking questions as we have time, which we've been able to take most of the questions. We have a question and answer period at the end. We're available during lunch for other questions, and then we're also available at the end during the networking time. And then we'll have a follow-up Zoom call for the attendees about 2 or 3 weeks after the event. So we'll send an email out, and what we've done with the follow-up Zoom calls is everybody's just on the call, and they just ask questions, and whatever it is that relates, hopefully something related to the field of private money lending, but they ask because Brad and I don't know anything else. Just kidding. But, but we will answer those questions, or help give them resources to get the answers to the questions, but that way they can follow up on things that they might have missed because it will be a lot to absorb in one day. And I'll add to that one of the most important comparisons about private money basics is this: you can get all of the information that we cover at Private Money Basics at other educational events in our industry, but you're going to have to attend somewhere between 4 and 12 of them because most of the events have some of what we cover, but maybe they cover 10% of one topic or or 20% of what we cover in our session. And then some of them don't cover the in-depth nature and some of the key finer points of it because the California Mortgage Association among the trade associations is the education association. We're known for that. So therefore, they're going to get if you don't want to have to go to 4 or 5 different events to learn a lot of this content, you can go to one and get it all in one day. And that was the design behind it. At the
Yeah, and you
expense of golf tournaments, we do not have a golf tournament or a tennis match or a pickleball. So you're going to have to go to something else for that. You won't get that.
And you make a great point. I mean, you look the material that we put together, we went back to presentations, I think as far back as 2013, 2014, reviewed presentations that were presented at CMA conferences. So you would have to attend multiple different events over the course of years, and there is a old fire truck outside my window honking its horn, and I'm about to lose my marbles. So hopefully no one can hear it
I
too
I
much.
can't I can't hear
Okay.
I can't hear it, but we will trust you that that is
It is
going
messing
on.
up my rhythm, I tell you what, good thing I'm not on another call. But where I'm getting at, this is combing through over a decade's worth of past presentations that are still applicable today. And what we also wanted to provide attendees were points of contact to service providers that address every aspect of our businesses. And we will provide that information as well, because this is a framework, this is an outline, but we want attendees to be able to take the material to their office the very next day and say, "Hey, I have a pain point for XYZ. Who can I contact?" And they will have a resource guide of and direct points of contact for individuals and professionals that tackle that particular point. Or we have, as you mentioned, the follow-up Zoom meeting. "Hey, Brad and Joff, I've been having issues with this. Who can I talk to? Do you have any recommendations?" Chances are there's a CMA member that is hyper-focused and specialized in that aspect of their business.
Well, that's a good point. One thing that I think is important, because obviously the event is open to everyone. It will be primarily, I'd say 75% CMA members, but about 25% non-members. And whether you're a member or not doesn't matter. The good news is that at these California Mortgage Association events and at Private Money Basics, a tip I'll give people who attend is this: watch who raises their hands and asks questions, and remember who those people are, because sometimes people will raise their hand and ask a question and you'll say, "Oh, that's something I'm interested." Go over and talk to that guy or gal during the break or during lunch and get their contact info, because maybe you'll walk away. I did at the last one. I walked away with a contact, someone I didn't know, and we wound up exchanging information on a particular topic that we were having some questions about. So you'll make a lot of contacts with practitioners who know other who know information and can share information with you. So that's a very valuable part of it as well.
Yeah, and then also answering the questions throughout the day, having our featured speakers present throughout the day. We do have the networking breaks. We have the lunch break where there is just open conversation on that. There's no um, preset speeches during the lunch or anything like that, because we don't want to take away from those meaningful conversations that you just highlighted. Um, is I trying to think of a nice way to phrase this. It sounds like a very serious thing all day, and we're just only drinking coffee. Is there anything fun that people can expect out of this other than learning compliance? Uh,
Well, aside from the fact that of course I get to be around you and me for a whole day, which is which is a lot of fun. But you're more fun than I am. We know that. But they probably have already picked up on that. But the aside from that, the we do have fun. We try to insert humor into it. Most of our panelists are able to add a joke or two, and Brad and I try to liven it up. And then the lunches are fun because everybody gets a chance to meet new people and have a good time. And then at the end of the day, we have this beer and wine networking hour with snacks. And that's a lot of fun too, because that's a chance for everybody to kind of let their brains rest a little and just have some casual conversation. And of course, if they really want to continue talking about what they learned during the day, they can do that too. So yes, we do have fun. Although again, we don't have a golf tournament.
that's okay. I mean, we have a lot to cover in a
There's
day,
no
and
golf.
it's intentional on how this is structured. It's um, there's no sales. You go to other conferences out there, and it's just real surface level, and then you have it's more about shaking hands and networking, which is very important to do. The whole point of Private Money Basics, our goal is to where it's this is your meat and potatoes and your vegetables. And we've seen, and the feedback we've had over the past few years is there's a desire for that. There's a need for
Yeah,
it. There's a hunger for it.
right.
And I think you see some others trying to do that. But again, the framework that we have outlined and the resources CMA has at its fingertips, it's I don't think it's going to be replicated. It's
Yeah,
be very difficult to do
yeah.
on that. And question for you. I mean, it seems like we're going to be going through a lot of legal compliance best practices. Is that all we're going to be touching on throughout the course of the day, or are we going to be elaborate on a few other?
Well, you're gonna test my memory, Brad, to see if I can recite all the 8 categories we're covering. So
Shotgun him at
so
you.
you're gonna be the backup for the ones I forget. So we cover licensing, we cover business purpose, we cover marketing, we cover screening and underwriting loans, we cover loan documentation, title insurance, loan servicing, raising capital, and let's see, I mentioned loan documentation, loan servicing, raising capital. Oh, running a private money lending business in general. What did I miss, Brad?
So and then the drill down between those. So let's take title insurance for example. We're not just going to be say, here are the two different Alta policies. Here's what you want to request. We're going to be diving into the weeds a little bit with our presenter on how to communicate with title offices, sharing some feedback and pointers that it took us years to fine tune to help increase the chances that we're going to get the appropriate coverage. When we talk on marketing and origination strategies, it's I probably shouldn't, but we're going to be jumping into what I've done, what's works, what doesn't work, the tools that are available out there. A few years ago, when we first did the first private money basics, that's right when ChatGPT was like, "Oh, this is cool. Like I could talk to it and do all of that." AI is light years ahead of where we're at now, and we're not gonna be diving into the weeds too much on different platforms, but we're just gonna kind of share some ideas of what has popped up out there and provide, just kind of point attendees in the right direction and see how they can maybe implement it to help originate deals. On the raising capital, it's sometimes there's no rhyme or reason on how you onboard an investor, so we'll be jumping into what's worked for I mean, we're gonna have Brock Vandenberg with Palomar. He's experienced running a company following your traditional trust deed model, how you and I are structured, to going through the process of launching and scaling a debt fund. So the speakers that we have, we're going to be pressing them, and they know we're going to be pressing them on some questions. But you did a good job on on the outline, and then in each aspect of those main, I guess, pillars, if you want to call it, we will be we'll be pressing it and diving in there a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's also important that within title insurance, you do a great job because you moderate the part on title insurance. You do a great job at bringing in a lot of the finer negotiations that you can go into with title companies to get better coverage. So you and the attorney that's going to be covering that, you do a great job on that. And then I think that some of the other things like loan documentation and business purpose are sort of tied together in some ways. And underwriting is also tied to business purpose. So I think some of those things that we go into there it's always amazing how even when people do know the one key thing about a business purpose loan, there's still we're able to give them other things, and they go, "Oh, that's pretty good too. Yeah, that's something I hadn't thought of too." So there's always a lot more we're able to provide in each area, and there isn't any situation where anyone's ever said, "Oh yeah, the part you covered about that, I pretty well knew that." There's always more information because we're bringing so much into each short segment.
And I have not had that comment out of any of our
No,
attendees.
no.
And I think what many might be surprised after attending, especially for the first time, is how that business purpose exemption ties through every part of the loan process, even to post closing. If you get that wrong, it impacts everything on that file.
Well, we're also going to tell them about some consumer purpose loans that they can do, not just bridge loans, not just consumer
Don't share
purpose
it all
bridge
here.
loans,
Don't
but
share it all here.
there's another type of set of loans that they can do. So, we'll cover that too, because
No,
sometimes people think everything just has to be business purpose, and it doesn't. There are also some other things within private money that'll work safely that you can do that actually are consumer purpose. You don't want to
uh,
pass those deals up.
no, no, especially it's originating deals is extremely difficult. Closing them is even harder. So anything we can do to share with the group on different potential deals they can close where they thought they couldn't prior to, I mean, that's always, I think, a big value add on that. Question we get all the time, or we have the past couple of years, is this recorded?
No, it's not. It's not available online and not recorded, and the reason for that is we're not teaching you anything that's illegal or incorrect, but we are teaching you a lot of things that are strategies to work around a complex legal and regulatory environment. It's not to the the association, the California Mortgage Association's benefit, or to the attendees' benefit for that to be available in a recorded form somewhere. There's a lot of strategies and techniques that we'll share with the attendees, but we don't want it out there recorded and floating around so that attorneys and regulators and other people can look at it and say, "Oh, that's how they're working with this. That's how they're doing this." That's not to our advantage.
No, and this horn, I swear, I'm gonna go out there.
That's the
Um,
first time we heard it, so now we know you were telling the truth. So I feel better now, and I'm sure everybody watching this
you've been
will.
in my office multiple times. But right outside, there's an old fire station, right across, and we on Thursdays there's the street fair. So this is the first time they have horns cranking, and I was like, of course. In this 1 hour window, they got horns cranking. Another follow up question we get: the material that we provide to the attendees. What can attendees expect to take home, and is that also emailed out?
They get a very thick binder with a lot of information in it, and no, it's not emailed out, and it's not available for sale separately. We wanted everybody to attend this event and get the benefit of attending and interacting with others at this event. So, the binder is very useful because it combines, as you said, about now it's up to about 18 years of knowledge and content from the trade association, and a lot of it's right there. So it's very useful, and it's got lists of vendors and lists of contacts and lists of resources and checklists. It's really there's a lot of content there that they'll be able to go home with.
Anytime I see a course or an event potentially to go to, my first thing I'm concerned about, it's like, great, I'm just going to be pitched. There's going to be some sort of pitch somewhere in this. What can attendees expect from that side of things in attending private money basics? Is there going to be like a hard sale and a hey, you got to get you have to join to get more down the road, or what can attendees expect? Because
You you
that
can
is my biggest pet peeve.
absolutely leave your credit card at home or in your car if you prefer. You're not going to need it. Don't bring it. As long as you're pre-registered. But yeah, there isn't anything sold. We don't have another course to offer. We don't have anything anything else to offer. We did at the first 2 events mention to people very lightly that they could join the California Mortgage Association, and we encouraged them to do that. But Brad and I discussed it, and we decided that at the next event, we're not gonna do that either. If somebody's interested in knowing about the California Mortgage Association, they can talk to us, but we're not going to mention it or even suggest to the attendees that they join, and the reason for that is we feel that if they come to this event and they sit through this entire event and they learn a lot and they talk to other attendees here, and it doesn't occur to them that it's a good idea to join the California Mortgage Association, there isn't anything profound that Brad or I are going to say that's going to change their mind. So we just decided, why are we doing that? So, you can join if you want, but you're not going to be encouraged at that event. So yes, there's nothing else to sell. We wanted it to be a self-contained event so that people could walk away and get all the benefit out of it without even if you don't want to be on our Zoom call, which doesn't cost anything, it's included. Even if you don't do that, you're still going to walk away with a complete day worth of knowledge.
And I think there's value in that because the last thing you want to do is be hard sold on something completely else. And I think that just shows the quality of content that the CMA brings to the table, as well as it being the only nonprofit trade association 100% focused on the California private lending industry. And it's the pillars of CMA: education, compliance, best practices, and advocacy. And CMA has not wavered over the years on that. And I'm very proud to be a part of such an association that has allowed me to grow my business to where it's at. And the joke I have had over the years is I did not join CMA to quadruple my business. I joined CMA to increase the chances of still being in business 10 years from now.
Right.
And then now my partner and I will be 9 years in July, going on a decade next year from when we started our company. And um, what we've learned over the years, as well as what even taken away from moderating private money basics, we're able to apply things and as real time as possible. There's always something to take away, and that's the consistent feedback I think we've received from attendees at Private Money Basics. It's even the most experienced. It's that checklist you provided, I was able to implement right away. Or that approach or that question, I was able to implement right away, and that's music to my ears, and that's the main
Sure.
goal
Yeah,
of Private
absolutely.
Money Basics.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in the industry, there are a lot of people that don't go to events. They don't go to seminars. They don't like sitting there. They don't like sitting in a room with other people and all that. And so the people that like to go to events and seminars, obviously it's no problem for them to go to a one-day event. But for the people that don't like to go to them and don't like to sit in a room with a bunch of people, and this is something that's probably the easiest for them to take because it's all in one day. They can be home that evening. They don't have to check into a hotel or fly to another faraway place, and they don't have to endure the things they might not like. They might not like golf tournaments. I keep landing on golf tournaments. I'm just teasing you because I know you play golf and I don't. So,
Sorry, hit me because the horn. Yeah, you know I wanna go play right now, but, I can't, so that's why you keep plugging that.
but so for people that just also people that are real busy and don't have much time, it's one day, and they can get as much as I really don't think that in 4 or 5 seminars that other people are putting on, you could get as much content.
Yeah, and we haven't touched on the framework for the day. Would you mind sharing, the date and time location? Like, we have not shared that. It's very important
It is.
information.
Yeah.
And then also what time is check-in time, and are we starting at a certain time sharp, or is it a flexible
So it's June 17th, which is a Wednesday in Burbank at the Burbank Airport Marriott Hotel, which is right across the street from the Burbank Airport. And we pay for your parking too. The the breakfast will be out and served about 7:45. You can obviously show up at the start time for the event if you're not hungry, but it starts at 8:30. And yes, we start right on time. We're gonna start our sessions and come back from our breaks and come back from lunch right on time because we did pack a lot of information into the day. So it's gonna move at a fast clip. But we will have breaks. We do have an hour for lunch, and then it runs all the way till 5 o'clock. So that's our basic schedule.
No, I love it, and I'm excited for it. It's coming up quick. It
Absolutely.
is now under a month, and also I think wanna highlight for the group, we do cap registration, so there is limited seating for Private Money Basics. That is intentional. We want this to be more of a we even though we are covering a lot throughout the day, we want it to feel and have it be a little bit more interactive during our breaks. You want it to feel more of a structured classroom setting to where it's not 500 people crammed into a room where someone might be afraid to ask a question. So we do have capped seating uh, and registration for this, and it's gonna be great. Anything else you would like to add, Joffrey, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, both events before did sell out, and the magic number is about 80. We cap it at 80. The room we have for it is comfortable with 80 people, and we just decided to cap it at that because that allows people to interact. It allows it to be small enough for everybody to get their questions answered, and so it works out very well. But we've had 100% success with it, and we were very pleased that some people actually came back to take it again. That was great too. So thank you for taking the time to do this, Brad. I'm glad we were able to talk about it a little bit, and I'm looking forward to it. It's getting down to let's see, something like it's 27 days, 24 hours, and 32 minutes before it starts, I think.
It's almost go time, baby. It's
Yep,
almost go time.
that's it.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Almost last 40 minutes, as well as putting on this private money basics for the third time now. And we'll make sure to share registration information and everything in a follow up link to this interview. So, Joffrey, thank you for your time, and I will
Thank you,
see you
Brad.
very soon.
Yeah, thanks for all you do too, Brad. Very much appreciate it. See you soon.